Dun, 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 dun. Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about Indiana Jones 5 and the story going around about the Glock and what that means in terms of the storyline for Indy 5. Now, it goes without saying, Indiana Jones, the Crystal Skull was not only, a massive disappointment, it effectively ended a lot of hope from, hardcore Indiana Jones fans like myself. Now, what we're seeing here with the fifth installment of Indiana Jones is that hope being brought back again. And I'm excited to see that in this footage, we've got the Nazis back again. They're back in full form. Now, what this means in terms of the storyline, it does indicate there's going to be some kind of time travel effectively happening within the script where Indy goes back to strategic points in his timeline with the Nazis where they've been experimenting with technology and what that means for him. Now, specifically, when we talk about Die Glock, this is a genuine Nazi UFO project. It's basically a time machine hybrid, which the Nazis were looking at. Basically, according to the conspiracy theories out there, the Glock was basically a wonder weapon for Hitler. And in the hopes of reversing World War II, Hitler developed this in the background. There was a lot of Die Glock spottings and sightings and a lot of documentation that the Nazis had. And there was the link with the machine to basically Roswell and the 1950s UFOs as well, and a lot of the sort of Kronos technology that was also experimented with huge sort of electrification, massive substations where they're basically experimenting with anti-gravitational devices as well as time travel. Now, clearly that's enough in Die Glock concept to work within the Indiana Jones 5 script, which I think is really exciting. So whether Indy sort of stumbles across Die Glock or maybe he's meeting one of the scientists, a lot of talk about some of the scientist roles coming back, some of the key players from previous films where he's sort of, talking with them and he's had discussions in the background of, yeah, I saw some papers on that. Is that real? Maybe he walks into a warehouse where they're experimenting and this sort of burning castle scene could be a secret installation where the Nazis were harnessing some of the Kronos technology, and bearing in mind that, Einstein invented the theory of relativity, is his timeline is also key to the story as well, because in the 1950s with the Russians, there was this sort of conflict with Einstein, Tesla, where they were sort of fighting for this sort of nuclear fusion breakthrough. So we've got it all happening within the sort of 1940s, late 40s to early 60s timeline of where you've got these juggernauts of science colliding. And clearly, Indiana Jones 5 is going to be right at the heart of that. So we could have Einstein, we could have Nazis, we could have technology from World War II being carried over right through to the 60s, potentially leading on to NASA and the space travel technology that they require for JFK, and the movement with the moon and lunar landings. So there's a clear connection there right from the get-go. And I think wherever Indiana Jones 5 hits us, it's going to be really exciting. And as indie fans, this is what we want to see. We don't want to see sort of crystal skulls and sort of CGI overloads where spinning UFOs turn into Aztec temples. Just too far, gone way too far. Keep it basic, keep it simple, and keep it based on science. I think one of the things that made, The Lost Ark, The Last Crusade, really powerful was that these stories were built on legends and myths that were told for generations, and the mind sort of boggled at what people had seen, what they have done, what they've witnessed. And the same goes here for Indiana Jones 5 and this Die Glock concept where history tells us that there was enough in there for there to be some truth in the background, and there was key players and key scientists. And I think all we need is a really nice narrative to bring it all together. And from what we're seeing with the little leaks and the little bits of footage that we're seeing coming out with Harrison Ford, is that there's a lot of movement with that script concept. And obviously, as soon as we see the red Nazi flag flying high on trains and castles, then we know we're in for what we all anticipated. So yeah, watch this space. I'm excited about it, and as soon as I hear anything else, I'll let you guys know. But yeah, keep watching, and I would say may the force be with you, but in this respect, I will say, Dad! Junior!